Jag. Spooky, spooky things.
Spooky, 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 bum, bum.
Spooky show, spooky
Oh,
things.
chat's full.
Spooky shows, spooky things. Why is this in stereo?
It's always been in stereo.
No, hang on. Say something.
Are you playing YouTube as well?
No, I'm not playing YouTube, and that would be like a 20-second delay.
You had the link, didn't you?
Hang on.
I think you've got
Why?
another window open.
No, right. Let me just try playing something else.
Oh, Alphabet Cats. Alphabet Cats straight out of the gate.
Yeah, for some reason. Oh, I think I've got like some effects on. It just sounds like there's a bit of reverb. Let me just have a look at effects.
Hobbit has autism, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I've just switched from speakers to headphones, and for some reason.
And it's freaking.
Yeah.
You're not playing both, are you, Hobbit?
Oh no, I have got reverb. How do I turn this off? Bathroom, concert hall, underwater. I don't want music pub. I don't want any of this. I want. How do I turn it off?
Headphones. Is there one that says headphones or something?
Oh, great. So now the sound is generic, but generic is slightly reverby. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a spooky show where I figure out the spooky stuff that happens with my headphones. Why do I have reverb now?
The demons, mate. It's those demons.
Dom said we should have called the episode Flat Earth 2, The Clumps.
Right.
So Alphabet Cat once says, I suppose we have to ask, how do you account for curvature of the Earth when you build big things like bridges and tunnels, etc.? Yeah, because I remember hearing about the Channel Tunnel, and there was no mention of when they used the laser they had to account for the curvature of the Earth. Because the Channel Tunnel is what, 20 miles long, is it?
20 miles, yeah. Yeah.
I also heard that snipers don't have to account for Coriolis spin. They shoot and they take into account like wind.
Wind. Yeah.
But
not the spin of the Earth.
This is weird.
Didn't do the show last week because I caught a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
It's not real. You had the flu.
That's not what the test said.
Well, the test. Of course they would. They're just you're false positive. You're the statistic. Thanks.
What,
right,
for 10 days
everybody...
on 10 days on the trot? That's nearly as bad as your rolls on Talisman, Hobbit.
That is true. It's weird how I'm able to consistently roll ones. Chat. Just so you know, when we have like the second lockdowns this autumn, it's because Hemi was the threshold number. It's like, all right, there's
zero. On patient zero.
There's Mr. 1001, right? We've got to have the masks again, and be smart, stay apart, so that the white woman and the black man has to stand apart because it's for hygiene. It is.
Yeah,
that's why.
Keep the monkeypox away from each other.
No, that's like anti-homosexual. You have to call it pride pox now.
Pride pox. Oh my God.
Bigot. You're a bigot, Hobbit.
Bigot pox.
I tell you, I'm also like really like annoyed. Why is the sounds echoey? It shouldn't be. If I switch to speakers, there's no echo. It's just when I turn it to headphones, there's a little relay in my sound card which goes, all right, I'm going to send, instead of like line out on the RCA outputs, it's going to go line out on the 1/4 inch jack. And it's just, there shouldn't be echo. And I've turned all the buttons off, but it's still there. I can't concentrate on tonight's show. I'm upset.
Why? Because of a little bit of reverb.
I just have to pretend I'm going insane, and we'll settle that. Oh, but there was some interesting things about tonight's theme, which I thought we could get into.
Go on then.
And one of them, it is a bit of it will be quite a long tangent, but I think it will be
What's the difference to any other week?
I wish to give a disclaimer to the
hold on,
audience.
I've got a quick thought experiment for you lads. So, when people are talking about flat Earth, it says here the Salton Sea flat Earth test. When skeptics meet deniers. So who's the skeptic and who's the denier?
What is the test?
Don't know. I'm just found it while I'm research. I'll call it researching for the show. I've just put it in general.
Well, whilst Hemi's doing that oh, great, from Skeptic magazine. By the way, he never got back to me about why.
Oh, is this our mate? Is
guy?
Is this our mate?
The
Is
dude
it?
with the guy who raised every fucking street level by one. Yeah.
In 1850, when the automobile didn't come out until 1884, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
So because they knew in 34
and that would have been
years'
literally probably the richest man in the village owned one. And that was probably it for your average village, wasn't it?
Well, villages? No, they'd been horse and car. It'd be like well-to-do city folk with like, I've just bought one of Rolls-Royce's cars. He's making 10 this year. The Queen's having the other 5.
So I'll take it horses were just running up and down those hills like no problem whatsoever.
No, they came down with a case of. I was actually reading something earlier about pandas and how they can't get up hills. Did you know this?
Are they like Daleks but with hills instead of stairs?
Pretty much.
Well,
yeah,
I know pandas in general have trouble getting it up.
Yeah, they can't really get up anything. Yeah.
And I'm told it's like a 3-centimeter long cock. So anyway,
maybe they came down with pandicitis, as fucking all the horses suddenly just couldn't get up those hills.
Never mind the fact that China's not real, and that's conspiracy theory. Maybe we need to talk about the conspiracy theory of panda bears. Yeah. It's carnivorous, but it's carnivorous.
I was watching an Owen Benjamin thing about it. And he thinks
really?
He thinks pandas are fake. And
but for the longest time, I just think no, this can't be real. It's carnivorous, but eats bamboo shoots. It doesn't want to procreate. Has a very small willy, and it just mate, this is not a real creature. It's not real. Hobbit was the history of the Cummings engine. S.
Uno says to Fraser, he says, Atlantis, Lemuria is Ireland, prove Michael Sarian wrong. Is that geezer you keep quoting, Hobbit?
Yeah, Michael Sarian done a lot of stuff about the Irish origins of civilization with Michael Sarian.
No, I mean, if you guys really want to get triggered, the guy I've been listening to recently was a Jewish fellow, but he talked about how we all used to be basically Muslims. Yeah, that guy.
We was Muslim and shit.
Yeah, basically. The Quran is the real world history. Yeah.
Because
that'll be a good episode, won't it? Like, everyone will get triggered then.
The Roman alphabet is a modern invention and retcon, and in fact, before then, we were all using Arabic squiggles.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And,
so how does that correlate?
The Christmas tree is because Jesus was born under a Christmas tree in the Quran. A tree next to a tree in the Quran, and that's where we get the Christmas tree from.
Because pine trees are quite common in the Levant, aren't they?
No, obviously there's no.
I'm being sarky. Yeah, sorry. But the addition to that, how does that account for the fact that if you look at Russian and Sanskrit, it's the same language, and before Russian was not Latinized.
Oh, apparently Sarian never said that.
What?
Okay, that's good. So,
pandas.
I'm thinking of Collins Beaumont, but Michael Sarian has quoted from him, I'm sure, because it is interesting. But ancient Russian was Hellenized, and then because before it had the Greek alphabet or the Cyrillic alphabet, it was Sanskrit squiggles. It wasn't Arabic.
Oh shit! Minute silence, everyone. The drummer from Musical Youth has died.
Who's that then?
Do you remember Musical Youth? Pass the Dutchie on the left-hand side. Do you remember that one?
Really? I thought that was M People.
No,
Boney M.
No, it was Musical Youth.
Oh, okay. Musical Youth, Boney M People, same difference.
They all got Eminem.
Yeah, Eminems.
Yeah, Eminems.
Yeah. So yeah, tangent audience, mirages, what they're all about. In the words of the
Fucking
insane,
mirages, how do they work?
does
ahead, go
anybody
into
know?
the-
Oh, and before we get into that tangent, can I just say we got a public service announcement from Professor Brian Cox. So,
Yeah.
hello, I'm Professor Brian Cox, and did you know that cardboard is flammable? So, when you're using an ashtray, well, for a start, you shouldn't because smoking's bad. But if you do need a place to put your ashes, don't do it in a cardboard box because then it'll catch on fire, and then your flat will burn down, and then the firemen will have to come to your flat near the Oxford train station, won't they? Anyway, that's the public service announcement done. Bye. So it's very nice of Professor Brian
Thanks,
Cox
Brian.
to
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks,
Nice to see you
Brian.
again.
Cheers, Brian.
just doing a PSA for us. I thought,
Thanks, Brian. Even though you've blocked me on Twitter, and I can't even remember what for or how long ago.
he just descended from his ivory tower to grant us that little bit of wisdom. Yes, if you do smoke, don't use a cardboard box as an ashtray. It may seem like a cheap investment at the time, what with cardboard boxes being free, but you end up paying for it.
It is a recyclable ashtray, then, isn't it? Sustainable. Buzzword.
Well,
Actually, it is proven to be unsustainable because it resulted in the flat getting burnt down near Oxford train station, and I'm not doxing anybody when I'm saying that. It's not JMK, if that's what anybody's wondering. We're not having a go. JMK's got enough sense not to use cardboard boxes as an
Yeah, he
ashtray.
put petrol in it first.
yeah, he makes sure there's nothing left.
Yeah.
Or he just uses an empty beer bottle as an ashtray.
Right then, so we're going to try and fucking put this train back on its wheels.
Oh, but before you do that, before we got onto mirages and how they were, Ian says, do you remember the foil ashtrays used to get in McDonald's?
They won't know what mirages are if we don't explain, like, the flat Earth or the globe Earth.
Ah, well, do we want to explain why we want to talk about mirages or just get straight into it?
Well, why do we want to talk about the Flat Earth Revenge Part 2 Electric Boogaloo Edition?
Yeah, you asked for this. You asked for this, Hobbit. You've got to explain why we're doing it.
Yeah, so the main reason is there's still some people that believe we live on the globe that's spinning, and it's just because that's what they've been told, and why would it be any different? And I'm here to say, no, you're wrong, and also you're stupid, and you should feel dumb. It's on the flat Earth. And for the rest of the 2 hours, we're going to talk about mirages and ashtrays.
And reflectors on the moon.
Oh, yeah, and reflectors on the moon. So one of the things that's used to say, well, if the Earth is flat, then how come there's reflectors on the moon? So ignoring the fact that it's a bit of a non sequitur, and I think you could have both, I looked up what these reflectors are. So cat's eyes and road signs and stuff like that. It doesn't matter where you are at them. You can shine a light and it will shine the light back to you because of the internal reflection. Like a cat's eye, which you shine a light in it and the light shines back at you. So on the moon, they've put
on a bicycle.
Yeah. So on the moon, they've put these reflectors on them, which are just expensive cat's eyes.
How did they stick them down? The moon's all dusty and sellotape ain't gonna work, is it?
I think they used like these boxes. So they just because they realised that they weren't going to get as much traffic as say on the M25. They didn't really need to put a cast iron thing down. They could just put it in the box and just hope that the clangers wouldn't move it. Well, that's the thing. There was a total of
the spinning of the moon and the rotation of the planets through space over the last 40 years hasn't knocked it on its edge.
But
I don't actually know about
Oh wait.
Well, if the moon has a light side and a dark side, does that not mean that it's always the same side facing us, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, because it rotates on its back.
Except for the periods of the month where there is no moon at all.
Yeah, except the new moon, no one can find it then.
Because occasionally, the moon disappears, and you can't just say, "Oh, well, you see that black spot in the night sky."
Did you look up if you can shine this reflective laser at the
right,
when the
okay.
moon's not there? Can
Before we get away from that, yeah.
That
Yeah.
is a very good question. I would like an answer on it. So, chat, if you know the answer to can you shine the laser at the moon when it's not there, answers on the postcard, please. Right, so these retroreflectors, there's 5 of them on the moon, 3 put in by the United States, 2 put by the USSR, and Lucanod 1 was hidden by the clangers.
I didn't think the USSR had got to the moon.
No, they didn't.
So then how did they put these reflectors on the moon if they weren't on the moon?
NASA did it, right?
Well, no, there was these 2 Russian at least 2 missions where they put these 2 retroreflectors on the moon.
Wait, the
Lucanod 1
USSR did?
I assume it's the USSR because that's when they were
NASA,
doing.
right?
Well, NASA put down 3 retroreflectors, and
From what I remember, like the Russians didn't go to the moon, only the Americans did. Like,
well,
they're the only ones who's ever been. Like, so that's a retcon.
so when I
When
was
did
doing,
that happen?
Well, hold on, haven't the Chinese been?
No,
Yeah.
no one else has been to the moon.
no, the Chinese
Not
did,
with a man, not with a man thing.
the
Right.
Chinese did put down a very real-looking flag on
that
on the
was,
moon's surface, which
Oh,
is
okay,
Is
then.
that before or after the glass of water and the space station?
yes, it's definitely not CGI. So I am told, because I looked up the retroreflectors and how they do the stuff, that there are 5 reflectors on the moon. Lucanod 1 was lost, but then rediscovered.
Oh wait, yeah. So right, okay. So they put these very delicate, I'm guessing, reflectors on the moon via robots. Is that
Well,
what
it's
they're
just
trying
like
to
a
say?
great big cat's eye, isn't it?
So it wasn't done
Yeah.
when they did the actual moon landings with the manned missions, right? The 6
Well, I
Apollo.
assume the American ones were manned missions, and they said
Well,
to
there
the
were 6
astronauts,
Apollo missions, 6 manned Apollo missions, weren't there?
"Yeah,
Right. So
okay,
saying-
let me look up the moon retroreflectors and tell you about the missions that did it."
yeah.
So moon retro reflect. I don't want to do too much on it, but we need, no, for my own satisfaction.
We need
Lunar-
clarification.
We
So
just
the
don't wanna
lunar
destroy the
laser
narrative,
ranging.
that's all.
It was one of 5 retroreflectors installed on the moon. So Apollo programs 11, 14, and 15, and Lunar Cohort 1 and 2.
Well, apparently from Interdimensionalist it says, according to Alex Jones, there's a couple of dead Chinese on the moon.
Yeah. Lunar Cod was a series of Soviet robotic lunar rovers designed to land on the moon between 1969 and 1977.
Yes, that's right. Back in 1967, when they had robots, with as much finesse as a human hand to put in very, very delicate equipment on the moon's surface, right? Is that what the claim
Yeah,
is?
but they lost that technology. Like they lost the
that's right.
yeah. But I put a picture into the general Hemi showing.
Jim Cook has a question. He said, if you had enough reflectors, could you draw a massive spunking cock on the moon that would show up in sunlight?
Well, it's like saying if you had enough cat's eyes, could you make like a shape on the M25 of a penis pointing towards?
If you had enough cat's eyes, do you think you could like light up the moon when it's not there every like 3 days of the month?
Well, that's a good question. Where does the moon go when, like, we can't see it and it's not there, and you can see stars behind where it should be?
It goes elsewhere, Hobbit. Stop thinking about it.
So
it goes behind the sun. Duh.
Before we get too lost about the details of these totally real retroreflectors, right? So here's the thing.
Oh wait, is this what they're claiming is the retroreflector? That little thing on a trolley?
You know what?
Can you get this picture up, Emmy? Like to show people.
Yeah, that thing on the trolley is a retroreflector, and you know what? It does look a bit like a series of cat's eyes stuck together.
Okay.
So, all of that aside, details aside, there are these reflective cat's eyes on the moon, and you can shine a laser at them. Except you can't shine a laser at them because if you do, you might damage them.
Laser.
Because, as we all know, light damages cat's eyes. So they go and shine really reflective, really powerful light from lasers.
Okay, then here's a question. does UV light affect cat's eyes?
Well, that's it. If the moon is reflecting the sunlight, and these are on the side of the moon that we can always see, then the sun's already burnt these suckers out already. Like,
Well,
right?
the thing is, if they're cat's eyes, they're pieces of glass.
Then
I
why are we
assume
not
they got
seeing the twinkly shit all the time then? If the sun's always like shining on the moon,
they got an explanation for that because even if you did have a laser powerful enough to shine at retroreflectors, you'd hardly get anything back because they just get a couple of photons every minute. It's tiny.
So no result. And
so how does starlight get to it?
Non-result.
Right.
So how does starlight get to us?
Okay. So let's just summarize this before we get really lost in the weeds, because I really want to talk about mirages, as I don't know anything about them. So we're going to learn together, audience.
Yeah.
Retroreflectors on the moon, and there are observatories which shine lasers at them. However, every single laser is unique, and also you can't get one of these lasers because they won't make it for you. And also, even if they did, you'd have to get one of these buildings made because it's really stable. And also, you're not allowed to use it because you're not a laser scientist that went to laser university for your PhD in I shine lasers at the moon. That's a real degree, by the way.
How is that verifiable science then? That is not science. That is listen and believe us. That could be anything. Like,
well, Fraser, you just don't trust the science, and that's why you
fucking don't.
You just don't fucking love science, Fraser. That's your problem.
I don't love science.
The source is, trust us, bro. It's really real, and we get a couple of photons back from it. That's how we know. Can I
verify it's real? No, you can't. Oh.
No, you're not allowed. No, you're not allowed. It's like, trust us, bro. The Antarctic stuff. It's just penguins.
Are you some sort of Brexiteer or something? Why do you even want verifiable evidence? Oh,
why do you want to go to Antarctica anyway? It's just a frozen wasteland with penguins. There's nothing there. Why would you want to go? Well, never mind the fact that all of the world's navies coordinate so that you can't go there, even when they're at war with one another. Even during the height of the Cold War, USSR and USA, the navies still cooperated.
They've got the Antarctic Treaty, mate. That's why.
Yeah, because
so even if they're nuking each other into like tiny pieces on mainland Europe or wherever, or in Russia,
and as far as I found,
that's just war games, bro.
Yeah,
as far as I found, there's not a you may not shine lasers at the moon pact, but there is a pact saying you can't shine powerful lasers at the moon, and you definitely can't shine at our retroreflectors because we all know cat's eyes are damaged when you shine light at them. What you know?
It's literally all the time shining light at them. What the fuck?
Yeah, when the sun shines like it, that's okay because it's not a laser.
It's not allowed. It's been banned.
The sun has like the most radiation.
Do you know what?
Like UV light, infrared.
Oh, not just that. It beams out antimatter as well. So, do you want to know what this logic sounds like? Right. I'll give an example. My uncle, when he was a kid, right, he would write a sign on his garden because he was given a bit of.
Hold on, Alphabet Cat's done a bit of a effort post. So he said, "I love the fact we got through the Allen radiation belt. Well, if you listen to Alphabet Cat, you know if you go through really quick, you don't get radiation poison.
Yeah."
Could apparently cool a spacecraft from 140C into the vacuum of space. Send radio images back on VHF, all in the 1960s.
Yeah. What the problem
is? Tiny
is?
Russian robots that can,
But No Fun Zone wants to know if you've got a license for that moon laser. Have you got a license for that moon laser, Hobbit?
Yeah, you need your moon laser shining license and moon laser receiving license, and you can't get one. But so I'll explain the logic of this, right? My uncle, as a kid, had his own vegetable plot in the garden, and he would write on it, "Birds, do not eat these peas," which, for a 3-year-old is quite cute, but then as an adult you just go, birds can't read English. And anyway, so it's like saying, no, you're not allowed to shine a laser beam on the moon, even though it would be equivalent of like looking at a candle from 10 miles away. It's that bright. Or I don't know how bright it is. But when the sun shines on the moon full force, that doesn't damage the retroreflectors because I've got a special
even when the
coating.
sun shines so bright that you can see the moon during the day, that bright.
Hey, here's a thing, right? This sounds like, oh yeah, you can't just like have unlicensed lasers shine at the retroreflectors because it might damage them. But I've got a special coating on the retroreflectors which prevents the sun from burning them out, and that's why it works. That's like when the kid says, "Oh no, you haven't shot me because I've got a special bulletproof armor." Oh yeah, well I've got a magic spell which negates your bulletproof armor. Oh yeah, well I've got this
you know what
amulet.
that sounds like? That sounds like, oh, well, it's just far away that doesn't happen.
It's
Do you remember the one about why can't
you know?
Do you remember the one about why can't the Hubble Space Telescope see the see the moon rover? Because it's just too powerful. It's too powerful to be able to see the moon rover.
Oh, that's right, because it's it's the moon's too close, and so it'd just be like, when you put like the camera right next to your dick, and you just get like a vague image of pink or brown if you're a brown. But like, you got to zoom out like a certain bit before it goes into focus.
Dom would like to inform us that he's got his moon laser proficiency course.
All right, well, when you go to the Institute of Shining Laser Beams at the Moon and tell us how many photons you got back, you can say, "Oh, guys, I've just verified the science for myself, and it's totally real. The retroreflectors are there. The moon's real."
I got 3 pings got 3 pings in like 6 minutes.
I got three photons, and they're definitely the same photons I shone there, and that proves that the moon is real. Therefore, Earth is round.
Yeah.
So, mirages, what are they about?
Fucking mirages, how do they work?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Well, okay,
but shall we explain why we're talking about mirages?
Okay, because mirages are often brought up as one of the main reasons why we can see buildings that are, supposedly too far away. They're saying that
Objects beyond the horizon.
Yes. So, say something like the Chicago skyline from Lake Michigan, I think it is. There's that famous weatherman report. He's there saying, "This is the mirage." It's a super mirage, basically. Because technically, with the Earth's curvature at 8 inches per mile squared, you should not be able to see beyond. Those buildings. The tops of those buildings should be obscured, and not only should they be obscured, they should be like horizontally slanted, as well. But let's just leave that to let's leave that for now, because that just that gives them a headache.
Lizard
so you
says,
won't be able to see that because
he says, "Do you remember that floating ship above the horizon? We covered that a few episodes back, didn't we?"
Yeah, because we were speaking about that guy that could see the ships coming over from beyond the horizon. Do you remember the French guy?
That dude. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, he's claimed that. Yeah, but that's the thing.
That was a weird one.
Like, remember all of these claims that they've made so far about ships coming over the horizon. They're all from a time, say the early 1900s, late 1800s, where
that was when all science
didn't
was
have
done.
The technology.
That's when they finished science, weren't it?
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's when they say, "Oh well, we don't." The technology was shit, but now we got cameras that can fit in the palm of your hand that can optically zoom in many times the zoom of what these telescopes could do back in the day, and it's totally just like throwing this oh well, the shit they appear over the horizon, just like. Well, then that's a wives' tale in itself. Like, even if you did get a telescope, I bet you still wouldn't see it fucking go below the horizon. The mast would not sink below the horizon. It'd just disappear into the...
Yeah, you just cease to see the ship anymore, don't you?
Yeah.
We had a similar discussion with this at 1 in the morning the other day.
Yeah, we did.
And one of the things
inspired this episode, I think, when it Hobbit.
yeah, it is, because I think like Brideshead Revisited, Flat Earth Revisited. So it was a case of, I said to him, right, use your imagination. Okay, so imagine you got an object, and in my case it was I was going to say it was a bright red cube. That's what I imagine. Yeah. And imagine it's towards you, and it's so vast that you can't see around it. It's really massive. Like, maybe it's 1 mile cubed. it's a really big object, okay? And then it starts going out towards the sea. And I say the sea because the sea is like a flat line horizon. Well, ignore the fact that there's little waves. On average, it's a flat line. So as it goes further out to sea, eventually it should start dipping below the horizon, right? But then you use magnification to see it. And the reason I say it's a massive, like 1 mile cubed object is even when you start looking at it with a telescope, you'll be able to see it. And then that's the thing. When you say, "Oh, I can't see anymore; it's gone beyond the horizon," and you look at it with a telescope, binoculars, or other magnifying device, you can go, "Oh yeah, I can see it again." But as you notice, the further it gets away, it becomes sort of hazy.
Yeah.
And eventually, what happens?
Starts to mirror itself.
I hadn't thought of that. But eventually, what happens is that as the object gets further away, it becomes more indistinct. Because of the diffraction of the light, and I've seen this as well, like on long roads where there's a colonnade of trees either side. It's not that the trees further away are shorter; it's that they're far away, therefore they're smaller. And I was making the allegory to that scene from Father Ted where they're in the caravan and Father Ted's holding a small cow, and he says, "You see, this one's small; those ones are far away, small, far away."
I thought you were going to
And
say about the
so,
time Father Ted just happened to be standing in the correct position by the window with a bit of tape
yeah,
on it.
and he had the lampshade on his thing. He did the slitty eyes and said to Father Dougal, "Look, I'm Chinese." Uh, but no, so I have seen it because I remember this. Oh, it doesn't matter where I saw it, but the fact is, I saw it in the south of France where I grew up. Did you guys know I grew up in the south of France? By the way, I speak
Do now.
French. Yeah,
MI5 no Hobbit.
yeah, they certainly do. And GCHQ go through my holiday photos. Now, the column of trees and the road and such, it's not that it's going below the horizon or that the trees are getting smaller. It's called perspective. And even I, a layman who doesn't do art, understands that if you draw perspective lines, you do that because you want things in the background to
Well, they
appear
eventually become
smaller.
a little dot, don't they? Perspective
Yeah, that's
lines.
it.
Yeah.
And so, likewise with Horizon, it's not that there is a horizon. It's just the further things go, the harder they become to see. They become harder. The
Yeah.
harder they
I
become to
think
see
you're.
because of air diffraction and diffraction in the air. Hello, guys. Am
Yeah, I
I
can hear you.
here?
Yeah, you
Oh,
say
okay.
we're
And
listening
so
to you.
diffraction in the air and heat hazes, they cause like mirror and shimmery things. And that's why we want to talk about mirages, because I don't understand mirages. How is it that air can be reflective when air is just transparent and invisible?
Spoiler, it's a liquid.
Oh,
Yeah, but
Dom.
yeah, but you do get heat shimmer though, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes, you do. So, Dom, objects that are closer than they appear. Did you know I've got a Jag? One of the things I found disconcerting about my Jag is that the driver's side, I suppose that's the far side mirror, it is a magnifier. So I was looking at things like, why
It's
does everything
offside,
look?
Hobbit. It's near side and offside.
Ah, right. So
To the
why does the
curb.
off? Yeah.
Yeah.
So why is it that the near side's normal but the offside's magnified? But whoever was the previous owner decided to go like, yeah, I'm putting a blind spot mirror in it, and it's a brilliant. I really like the blind. I still look over my shoulder, but having a blind spot mirror, especially when you're on the motorway looking to overtake, it's great. Hear you're a racist now, Father. What got you into that sort of thing? I hear you're a
Right.
flat Earth believer, Father. What got you into that sort of thing?
Okay. So you want to understand what a mirage is?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So a mirage.
It's when you're in
is
the
a-
lost in the desert, Hobbit, and you imagine
Yeah.
there's a chicken in front of you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or a pool of water.
Is it
or
also like when you're walking in the
skimpy
desert
clad
with
ladies, tent.
Tintin, and like you start imagining Tintin's a bottle of champagne, so you're trying to pop the cork off, but what you're doing in fact is strangling him.
Yeah.
That's a mirage.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right. Okay. Right. Is that it? No.
God, then, Hobbit, I thought you were going to tell us what a mirage was. I thought you
Oh,
were gonna
right.
learn
No, that's the
with me
thing.
what a mirage
So,
was.
yeah, the reason why you like look in the telescope and things which you thought had gone below the horizon are in fact there again is because of mirage. So, mirages happen all of the time when you look through magnification, and that's how you can see things. So, it's not that you're seeing something because the horizon's there, guys. It's just that a mirage means that you can see it because the conditions are always right for mirage. I assume there are like certain conditions where mirage appears and then like conditions where it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I guess
But
if you're
this is
looking
the
at the
thing.
sea, there'll always be one.
But what are you? The thing is with the seeing things that are supposedly beyond the curvature of the Earth, right? And an actual mirage they're two very different things, and they can be proven as such.
Yeah, what is it? Look.
Because a mirage.
What is a mirage, Hobbit? What actually is a mirage?
Yeah.
Let's get a definition. What is a mirage? So, what is a mirage? Imagine you're in the desert. Oh, hang on. Let's have Professor Brian Cox. Imagine you're in the desert. You're lost. Hello, I'm Professor Brian Cox. You've been walking for hours. You've run out of water. On the horizon, you see a giant shimmering puddle of water. Isn't that amazing, you shout. You're saved. But it's not a puddle of water. It's a mirage. Mirages are what's known in the science place as optical illusions, and therefore many thirsty explorers.
You're not doing Wikipedia, Hobbit?
Well, this was the first thing that came up.
The Wikipedia is hilarious.
Oh, okay.
They've even got pictures of mirages.
Yeah.
Okay. Go. Let's hear it then.
Got it, Hobbit. Carry on.
Oh, right. So how do mirages form? Normally, light waves from the sun travel straight through the atmosphere to your eye, but light travels at different speeds.
Hold on. Hang on. Just sort of give you a throwback there, Hobbit, to our former friend. In contrast to a hallucination, a mirage is a real optical phenomenon that can be captured on camera, since light rays are actually refracted to form the false image at the observer's location. What the image appears to represent, however, is determined by interpretive faculties of the human mind, even though you can take a picture of it. For example, inferior images on land are easily mistaken for the reflections from a small body of water.
So is this like, they can say it's pareidolia when they're saying, the first example they got of it is the face on Mars.
Yeah, you're just seeing the...
It's just
you can take a photo. You can take a photo
of
a mirage.
Whatever you imagine. Yeah, whatever you imagine in the same. But
it's just a random collection of rocks, bro. It's your fault you interpret it as a ship on the horizon.
I've just put the link in general, Hobbit, if you wanna talk us through that.
Thank you. So, well, I'll carry on with planet science because this is Professor Brian Cox explained to me. You see, he says, light travels at different speeds from hot air and cold air. Mirages happen when the ground is very hot and the air is cool. The hot ground warms a layer of air just above the ground. When the light moves through the cold air and into the layer of hot air, it is reflected. That means it's bent. A layer of very warm air near the ground reflects light from the sky, nearly into a U-shaped bend. Our brain thinks the light has travelled in a straight line. So let me think about this. A hot surface and cold air above it. Is this consistent with what you would say that the sea at daytime would be when you're looking at ships going to and from the horizon? So the sea is very hot and the air above it is cold.
The sea is very cold and the sun is very hot.
So science, innit?
Yeah.
A layer of very warm air near the ground reflects light from the sky nearly to you. I said that bit already. Our brain doesn't see the images bent light from the sky.
Can I just point out that Dom's really poorly constructed pun that didn't work? Have you heard of the Nicki Minaj effect? Apparently it's a milkshake that brings all the boys to the yard, even though Milkshake was sung by Khalees. Or Kelly's, or whatever her fucking name is.
It's not really a milkshake because in fact it's a mirage. You just thought you saw a milkshake because that's what you wanted to see.
Dom, Nicki Minaj sung spaceships. What was it called? Spaceships,
Well,
airships. I can't remember what it's called.
Okay, this is interesting. Okay.
Oh, it goes on to say another bit here, which I think is quite pertinent. So, our brain doesn't see the image as a bent light from the sky. Instead, our brain thinks the light must have come from something on the ground. You can even see mirages in the UK. Have you ever looked at a wet-looking shimmer above tarmac on a hot day? That's the beginning of a mirage. So there we go. That's mirages are.
Who sang
And
WAP? I don't even know who. I've never heard of WAP.
Oh, are they talking about the wireless access protocol?
No, Dom's talking about a song called WAP.
What was that early internet they had on mobile phones? Was it called WEP?
Oh, Cardi B. Oh, Dom's just getting deep. Dom's trying to do current culture, and he's having a right mare in the chat, I think.
Yeah.
Interdimensional, it's like that. Oh, hang on. Is this Professor Brian Cox?
I'm just a bit worried that interdimensional lizard has Cardi B knowledge right off the top of his head.
It's like that car driving into the tunnel, and the big puddle looks like a hole in the ground. Yeah, but if it's a big puddle, is that not a hole in the ground?
Yeah, but it looks like a big puddle. It's not a big puddle. It looks like one.
Oh, okay. Oh, I don't know anymore. So I'm not sure that a mirage would explain every instance of, well, you think you're seeing it because you're looking with a telescope, but in fact it has gone over the horizon, and it's a mirage. I can't say mirage without thinking of Brian Cox now and this smug shit-eating grin. No, I'm just a mirage. Professor Brian Cox is not real. It's because light's been reflected by the sun.
As I say, like what they're claiming a mirage is, and what this is actually showing is two different things. Like,
well, they're saying a mirage isn't what we.
Things.
Is this another fucking Mandela effect? Like even the word mirage has changed its fucking meaning now.
No, I don't think it is. I think they're claiming that the distortion, the heat distortion from a body of water that's being warmed by the sun. In the day or wherever or on land. It basically a heat distortion is distorting the image of whatever's in the distance. Therefore creating a mirroring effect. It even shows you on that Wikipedia article posted. They've got those 4 different images on with the sun in the background kind of. And you can see there it literally is like it's mirroring itself. It's not actually like a mirage. It's just a distortion between you, the observer, and the object in the distance. You're looking through that layer of disturbance, the heat that's being produced in between you, because it's at sea level or ground level. You're looking through that, thus it's creating this mirroring effect of the object in the background. But they're trying to say that the object in the background, all of it, is the mirage.
Well, they do actually mention something about the Bismarck, because apparently, and then they talk about Fata Morgana, which is a type. So what they're saying is there are different types of mirage. So heat haze is what's called an inferior mirage. The mirage image appears below the real object. The real object in the inferior image is the blue, the sky, or any distant, therefore bluish object in the same direction. The mirage causes the observer to see a bright and bluish patch on the ground.
Right, okay.
So that's an inferior mirage, which is known as heat haze and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then they're saying you also have a superior. A superior mirage is one which the mirage image appears to be located above the real object. So it's whether it's below or above.
Right. Okay, but here's the thing, like. Right. Okay. Well, that's what they're saying. They're saying that this image is, below and above.
So a superior. Hold on. I've just got to explain one more thing, and then
Right.
A superior mirage occurs when the air below the line of sight is colder than the air above it.
Right.
And it goes on to say something which is quite pertinent to this discussion. Since Earth it's still Professor Brian Cox, since Earth is round, if the downward bending curvature of light rays is about the same as the curvature of the Earth, light rays can travel large distances, including from beyond the horizon. This was observed in... Yeah. This was observed and documented in 1596 when a ship in search of the Northeast Passage became stuck in the ice in Novaya Zemlya above the Arctic Circle. The sun appeared to rise 2 weeks earlier than expected. The real sun had still been below the horizon, but its light rays followed the curvature of the Earth. This effect is called the Novaya
Okay,
Zemlya
that
mirage.
breaks all fucking mechanics. Then that literally breaks day and night cycle right there. If the Earth, if light can bend around the Earth, why do we have 12 hours of night and day at the equator?
Don't think
Because
about it, Fraser. Just
Why?
don't think about it. We're talking about
Because-
mirages. Don't think about applying it to
No,
other
that
things.
breaks. This breaks night and day. Why would there be 12 hours of day and night on the equator? There wouldn't be. Why would there be any night at all? The light would just go around the Earth.
Right.
Ah.
So what are they saying? So how do they say it occurred then?
Shall I read the Novaya Zemlya effect?
Yeah, go on then.
So, Novaya Zemlya is a popular mirage caused by high reflection of sunlight between atmospheric
Popular
thermal
all the
layers.
time, like ball lightning, all over the fucking place, like dog
Oh.
shit. It's everywhere.
Sorry, it's a polar mirage.
Oh
So
God!
you're not
Polar
going to see.
fucking
So, you're not going to see a polar mirage on the equator because the equators are far away from the pole. Okay, anyway. The effect will give the impression that the sun is rising earlier than it actually should, and depending on the meteorological situation, the effect will present the sun as a line or a square, sometimes referred to as the rectangular sun, made up of flattened hourglass shapes. The mirage requires rays of sunlight to travel through an inversion layer for hundreds of kilometers and depends on the inversion layer's temperature gradient. The sunlight must bend to the Earth's curvature at least 400 kilometers to allow an elevation rise of 5 degrees for sight of the solar disk. The first person to record the phenomenon was Gerrit de Veer. Well, he's Dutch, so that's not true then.
Anyway, just to add to that, the Novaya Zemlya, whatever the fuck, is what's called a superior mirage. So you got the 3 different types. Superior mirage. Oh no, I think I've already said the definition of a superior, haven't I?
Mm.
So they're saying the reason the sun appeared where it was
2 whole weeks earlier.
So that was when the air below the line of sight is colder than the air above it.
Yeah, because it just so happens to be in the poles where there's loads of wind all the time. You've got these firmly stable layers of air which work like fiber optics just to completely bend the light so that you can see it from the other side of the world. I mean, Fraser, why do you sound so incredulous about this? Clearly the science is settled. Why don't you just trust the science?
Do you know when that was
I've had
observed?
this argument before with fucking Dave.
Yeah, but do you know when the Novaya Zemlya occurred? 1596.
Yeah. How would they know? Like, what?
Oh, as Ian points out, bipolar is a bear that likes both men and women.
How about this one? Have you seen this bit where it says for every 111.12 kilometers, that's 69.05 miles, that light rays travel parallel to the Earth's surface, the sun will appear 1 degree higher on the horizon.
So the inversion layer must have just the right temperature gradient over the whole distance to make this possible. And they say, in the same way, ships that are so far away they should not be visible above the geometric horizon.
Oh God.
The geometric horizon as opposed to what? So anyway, they may appear on or even above the horizon as superior mirages, and what they've got as evidence there is a painting. So that's good. And this may explain some stories about flying ships or coastal cities in the sky, as described by some polar explorers. They're examples of so-called Arctic mirages, or hlingar in Icelandic. If the vertical temperature gradient is plus 12.9 degrees C, or 23.2 Fahrenheit per 100 meters, where the positive sign means the temperature increase at higher altitudes.
But that isn't what they're saying that's happening with the mirages across bodies of water. The mirages across bodies of water are not the superior mirages.
Well, it
Well,
might explain
they
it
are
in the
actually
polar.
the inferior mirages. You're looking through the haze.
Yeah, because you might be able to explain in the polar
But
regions
that's what I'm saying. They're trying to
if the
claim that
temperatures are just right. I think
these
you know what.
mirages are
Yeah, but you've
superior
also
ones, not
got
faulty.
the Fata Morgana, and these ones are brilliant because
Yeah.
it comes from Italian translation of Morgan Le
Before
Fay.
we get
Yeah.
that, just briefly, right? We know somebody that lives in Penzance, and we should do a GoFundMe so he can get a telescope. And he's not doing anything except for drinking all day. So why don't we just say, look, go to the coast, look at the ships coming in at the horizon, and then just observe when they did and when they didn't
Vic
come.
Reeves in The Smell of Recent Water. What was it? Otis Redding and Marvin Gaye watching the ships going in and coming out.
But yeah, we should have a whip round, get him a telescope, and just look, just note it, and then tell us what the local weather conditions for the day was, and we'll see whether it's a mirage or not.
Yeah.
We could actually do like a proper
for really really complicated stuff that you've got to make up an explanation to. You've got the Fata Morgana, and this is a very complex superior mirage. It appears with alternations of compressed and stretched areas, erect images, and inverted images. A Fata Morgana is also a fast changing mirage.
Right.
So that's the one where you really when you're really in a corner and you need to explain something quick. It's Fata Morgana ball lightning.
Swamp
Swamp gas over Venus.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is our new swamp gas over Venus. It's our Fata Morgana.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So anything you see which UFOs, Fata Morgana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really glad we've got this catch-all to explain anything that's Fortean.
The rays
from
that
now on.
bend from arcs, an observer needs to be within the atmospheric duct. In telecommunication, an atmospheric duct is a horizontal layer in the lower atmosphere in which vertical reflective index gradients are such that radio signals are guided or duct tend to follow the curvature of the Earth, experience less attenuation. Okay, so right, that's their cope.
Okay,
Also for why,
Dom's trying
radios.
Dom wants us to forget about his little pop music snafu earlier. He says, "Okay, let's try again. What do you call a threesome in an oasis? A mirage à trois."
Rich.
That's bad.
Right, okay, so right, yeah, alright, okay, that again, what you're seeing when you look out over a body of water, especially when it's, the distance of these, suppose the city in basically in Chicago, skyline, you're seeing a lesser mirage, because you're not actually seeing it.
So it's basically I think you only have you have inferior and superior.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically, it depends whether it's hot over cold or cold over hot.
Yeah. Well, they're kind of claiming that you've got this superior mirage, right? That's this city's been raised up by the the Earth's curvature, the light refraction. It's been
the sun 2 weeks early.
Yeah.
The thing is, they don't explain it properly. Did they have full sunlight and everything? 2 weeks early.
They must have. Well, if they had the sun, they must have had sunlight, right?
Yeah.
But how do you get? Well, then that. But the thing is with the north, right? The northern, is it northern summer? There's always 100. It's always daylight, right? There's no night for 6 months of the year. So basically, getting it 2 weeks early, they would have had full sunlight all the time, which then would be, So you're saying that reflected light was refracted for the whole 2 weeks?
Yeah, whatever the conditions were, they were exactly the same for the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
For the whole 2 weeks in 1596,
But then when you start asking them, how far does the light actually refract around the curvature of the Earth? They don't. I believe it's 0.6, that they actually give.
Well, it says here. So with that mirage, for every 111.12 kilometers that light rays travel parallel to the Earth's surface, the sun will appear 1 degree higher on the horizon.
Okay. But to bring the sun supposedly 2 weeks away from being on the horizon.
But also it says here the inversion layer must have just the right temperature gradient over the whole distance to make this possible. So the temperature and everything stayed exactly the same for 2 weeks.
So how many degrees would the sun need to have risen? Above the horizon.
Stop asking these questions, right? It clearly happened in 1596,
Yeah.
and the Dutchman told us so. And as we all know, the Dutch never ever lie.
Never tell a lie.
No. Also, the Dutch invented the stock market, so thanks, Dutch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, more mathematics that are. Again. This is the wives' tale effect, isn't it? You're told all these things. Oh yeah, that sounds okay. You never go out and test it yourself. This is the problem. Like people don't go out and say, "Oh yeah, I'll test that, see if that's true."
But you don't need to test it. You can just go to a rough.
Appeal to authority.
It's alright because you can just go to what's his name? What's that fucking experiment?
Brian Cox.
No, the Aristophanes.eu.
Oh yeah, the guy with his sticks. Yeah.
You don't even need to put your own sticks in. Just go to Aristophanes.eu. It's all laid on for you.
Yeah, guys, we already know this, right? It's like if I were to make up like hundreds of websites, right, all saying the same thing with like false information, and then over the course of 50 to 100 years, through maybe not even just through websites but through books, and I kept repeating the lie. Eventually, people may believe it, or they'll believe it, right? Because eventually, who's going to test it if it's been repeated so many times?
You don't need to do it for that often. Just put it on the BBC. People believe it.
But this is it, yeah. All this is appeal to authority. If you were to actually test for these things, you'd find very different results, which is what some of these researchers into the lakes and the laser test over the lakes are finding. Like, I mean, I've got that laser test over that frozen lake. If you want to put that up, I mean, it's a 3-minute video. I don't know.
Which one's that? Hobbit's going to eat some cheese.
Yeah. It's basically the one above Tintin in the thing. The one above Tintin, the one below, but the stick shadow experiment the Greeks used to show Earth isn't flat.
Right, hold on, give me a sec.
The real.
Right, so what's this one showing?
This one's showing a laser test done over. Well, it's basically it's over. I think it's 8 miles or so. I think.
Hello, everyone.
Testing for curvature.
Today I decided I needed to get back to what I love.
Right, he's talking now.
And that's proving that we live on a flat and stationary Earth. I sometimes make the mistake of getting caught up in pointless debates with sellouts and their mindless army of automaton trolls. But I'm back. This new proof of the flat Earth comes from Grota 1 from a frozen lake in Manitoba, Canada. I strongly encourage everyone to head over to his channel and subscribe to show your support, because he obviously went to a lot of effort for truth here. For this curvature test, Grota 1 essentially set 4 lights at around 1 foot above the water and ice. He set up his camera at about 8 miles away from the furthest light and 5 miles away from the closest light. The lights were spread out at about a mile apart. At each location, Grota 1 drilled down to the water just to confirm that he wasn't on some irregular ice formation, and to also ensure that his test was on a level surface. The furthest light from the camera was the red light at 8 miles from the camera. The blue light was at about 7 miles, the yellow was at 6 miles, and the orange light was the closest one at 5 miles away from the camera. You should definitely watch his video where he goes into much more detail, but here he is sitting in his truck at a distance of 8 miles from the red light. Notice that the lights are all on the same flat plane. There is no earth bulge and no physical globe horizon. Next, Grota 1 lowered his camera to only 12 7/8 inches above the surface. At that small elevation, the globe horizon would have to be closer than 1.27 miles, and the furthest light, the red one, should have been 29 feet below the horizon. That's taking into account the 1 foot height of the light. Notice how the lights are all on the same flat plane. There's absolutely no supposed bulge here. And if there is no curvature on that frozen lake, then there is no Earth curvature anywhere. Look at the red light. That light should be 29 feet below the horizon. It's just amazing that they got away with this lie for so long. Finally, Grota 1 brought his camera down even lower to just 5 7/8 inches off of the ice. At this very low elevation, the red light would have to be a whopping 33 feet below the horizon. That's 34 feet minus the 1 foot height of the laser. Without question, the globe fails again. Furthermore, under the official model, the globe horizon would have to be closer than a mere 0.86 miles. There is no globe physical curve here, blocking your view. As Grota 1 demonstrated on this frozen lake, regardless of the conditions, the Earth is observably, testably, repeatedly, and measurably flat. Yes, we were all lied to. Yes, they control our education. Yes, they control our media. Yes, they control our governments. Yes, they control all of our major institutions. But they still don't own your soul and your ability to think independently and to shake off the conformity and to break free from these mental controls. And that is how, with God's help, we can win. And we must win.
Right, there we go. That's that done.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So as you can see, right? I mean, this video is pretty good to prove points with the zooming in and out as well. Right. Okay. So what we have is basically, right. He zooms right out. You can't see any lights, right? There's no lights in his zoom out, right? Then he zooms in, and then the lights come into focus at 5, 6, 7, and 8 miles, and they're all on the same plane. They're 1 meter above the surface. He's done the calculations for it. The red light at the very end should be below the surface of the Earth's curvature at 30 feet. How is that possible? It's a frozen lake. We have to agree that the lake is solid and it's a flat surface, right? Or are you trying to then tell me that there is refraction? There is reflection of the light. That's why we're
that's what happens. The light bends, Fraser.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's seeing with your eyes or just believing, what you've been told has been, tested, Because to me, that lake experiment there is irrefutable, like evidence that hold on, at 6, 7, 8 miles, you can still see the light. Even at the 5 mile mark, you can still see the light. Where's the curvature? And also zooming in actually brings it into focus. You're not going over the curvature, you just bring it into focus. And you can actually see the shimmering effect with the mirage.
Well, that's one of the things
the
which
mirage.
I always say
it's
it's like
Hobbit.
Well, I will. I've just come back.
Yeah.
It's worth mentioning that we can get lost in the weeds in these things very easily. You can say, oh, what about the retroreflectors on the moon? And it's like, well, okay, how do you prove or disprove that? It's very easy to do. I say it's very easy. It is now to do an experiment where you shine a laser beam and then you measure on a body of water whether the laser beam goes up or down. And according to the conventional wisdom, every mile it will be down by, 8 inches?
Well, the other thing is, like, we just spent all that time reading about mirages and how they work.
Yeah.
So you've got the different types of mirages. So one is cold over hot and one is hot over cold, and this one is going to be... This is going to be the opposite way around. So how is the refraction exactly the same when you've got two different types of mirages, like
because it just is. It's a Fata Morgana. Yeah. But also, just to say that I'm not saying it's like every mile you go, it's 8 inches. Because it's
no, that is the curvature, Hobbit. No. Don't do that. Don't do that, right? Because doing that, you're then giving them an out. They have set the Earth's circumference at 24,000 miles.
Yes, but what I wanted to say there is, I understand it's an exponential curve, and that the further out you go, the greater the drop will be. So it should be measurable, especially as you go more than 2 miles.
It should be at least observable, shouldn't it?
Do you guys remember a video game back in the olden days called Populous, the beginning?
I never played Populous.
Did you play that, right? If the Earth was a sphere, you would be literally playing that game. Now, I don't remember if you played it, but literally that game was set on a sphere. You were
Oh, is it
playing a
wrapped
character
around?
on a sphere. Yes, it wraps around. You can see in the distance the horizon move up to meet you. Like, to meet you, you can see the buildings, the buildings that you build, lean away from you. But on Earth, none of that happens. So why is that in a video game? But yeah, we can't see that in reality. Why
Well,
do no buildings lean away from us if we're on a curve?
just because reality doesn't.
Fata Morganas and refractions of light, right? That's
Yeah,
their only excuse. Yeah, it's just
mirages. How the hell do they
it's like
work?
yeah, it's just gravity again, isn't it? Oh well, we don't. That's just gravity. You're on a centrifugal object spinning through space that's constantly trying to flick you off, but gravity pulls you back.
Well,
It's.
I'm trying to find that. Like, what is the difference between like weight at the equator and weight at the poles? And I can't remember what the number was, but it was like a really small number. Like a kilogram weighs, I don't know, an extra 16 grams on the equator. I'm not sure if that's the correct number. Hopefully, someone in the chat will tell me what the gravity gradient is between the poles and the equator.
Well, do you want to go into like weighing the Earth? I mean, that's another one of the supposed proofs of the.
That's the point.
Well, is another point. Like, so a lot of drugs are grown at the equator, aren't they, and weighed at the equator. Yeah. So why aren't more people getting shot for lightening people's loads?
Ah.
I mean, if you're importing a ton of cocaine from what's the country called? Colombia.
No, you see, in Colombia it will be lighter, and then when you go further north it will be heavier. Because if you're on the equator, you're spinning faster than you're at the poles. So the faster you spin,
so they're actually
the
giving
gravity.
money away at the equator. So the Colombians are actually giving money away.
So that's why all the equatorial countries are dirt poor, because like they're just not good with weights and measures.
Things properly, right? Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
we figured out why sub-Saharan Africa is so poor.
Yeah,
it's because of gravity.
Yeah, it's because of gravity.
It's not because of socioeconomic factors. It's because of gravity.
Yeah.
So this is another scientific breakthrough.
Gravity is oppressing the poor drug farmers.
Yeah.
So
well,
here's
another thing with the gravity of the weight the equator versus where we are, say in the UK, right? Supposedly the spin of the Earth is what 600 odd miles where we are right now.
Oh shit! I've just actually thought of an observable thing. Like, I don't know how you'd find it out, whether you find it out through an FOI request. So if you put your baggage on, let's say, if you put your baggage on in London, it would be 10 kilograms. So what would it be at the equator?
It'd be less than 10 kilograms.
Yeah. How much less?
Yeah. But the weigh scales will also work differently because, hang on, a weigh scale, like a simple one, is a spring, and then based on the known tension of the spring, it makes your gauge go up and down.
Yeah.
So would those springs would operate differently on the equator because there's less gravity on them. And also, if you had to if you had a
saying the difference is 5 grams difference per kilogram, so it's not going to be.
But here's the other thing, right? Let's say you're using a really simple scale, like a balance, and you've got your weights there. Well, so I've got like a lump of iron, and it weighs 100 grams. I go to the equator, and let's say I've got like 100 grams of sugar. Well, on the equator, the balance will still be balanced because both of those objects still weighed the same amount, even though the effect of gravity is acting on them. Does that make sense? I don't feel I've explained it very well.
Is it? Are we talking about the difference between weight and mass, are we, or something?
No, because the mass of the objects is still the same. The weight has changed because you've gone from a northern region to a polar region. So the weigh scales will still show the same amount. They won't actually... this is hurting my head. I'm sorry, guys. Gravity, how does that work?
Yeah, fucking gravity, how does that work? Isn't the shimmer of the stars supposed to be gravity?
Oh, I thought that was heat haze from the light.
I think
from
they say.
the
I think
atmosphere.
they say it's gravity now.
Really? And why have they changed their minds on that? I thought the science was settled.
Hey, where are your kidneys, Hobbit?
They're... Oh, God, not this again. Look, your kidneys are supposed to be either side of your bladder, and your bladder is on your pelvic region. And your pelvic region is where your hips are, right?
Yeah, your pelvic region is
Well,
right up
give it a
in
couple of
your
years.
chest cavity.
We won't have any pelvis anymore, you know. Give it a few years. They're working on it. But as I could say, like, okay, so you know the weight of the weight and the spin of the Earth, right? Okay, this is a good one to go into. If the Earth spins at 1,024 kilometers at the equator, and we spin in the UK around 600 odd, right? If I were to move between the UK and the equator, would I not get dizzy?
Well, they say it's jet lag, even if you go to the same time zone. Let me just see.
But jet lag is to do with time like
zones,
the time
isn't it?
spent, not just moving from one physical place to another.
Oh, I also thought it was like when you go up in a pressurized cabin and it's recycled air, it's not good for you.
I thought no, it's about time change, isn't it? Because Monday mornings are a mild form
Your
of jet lag.
internal body clock is naturalized to a certain region. Then you change and then it affects. But I'm talking about the actual bodily effect of the weight and spin of the Earth. Would that not make you? Why would you not get dizzy if you were to move from a different spinning part to a faster spinning part on the ball?
Is it because the change is really gradual?
Yeah, I don't think it's enough to be perceptible. I don't think.
Because
give it, right.
So the equator says to go through 360 degrees of longitude, that's 21,600 nautical miles. So 21,600 divided by 24 equals 900 knots. So you're doing the
It
rotation.
could be that, like, say you were like coal mining in doing 12-hour coal mining shifts in England, and then you went
I asked that question because basically, if I got on a roundabout, why do I get dizzy then? If I got on a roundabout and spun round, right, as a kid, you got on those roundabout things, and you spun round, and you come off, and you're all dizzy.
Yeah.
Why do I get dizzy on a roundabout that's going 3 miles an hour, whereas I'm stuck to a ball spinning 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, and I don't feel a thing?
Is it because when you step off the roundabout, suddenly, like, your conservation of momentum, you've made a sudden change?
Yeah.
But you're right, it's very little, isn't it? 3 miles an hour, and yet it's enough. Like, if I spin around in an office chair, and then I stop spinning, I'm gonna spin, and my vision's gonna spin. And yet, you go in a plane, like, you can go directly south, like, flights directly south to here, you'd be Sicily. No, Sicily's a bit... Well, I would say that's south enough to do it. And then 3 hours later, you're at somewhere where the speed's significantly greater. However, what's interesting about that is... So, the plane, if it's going from north to south towards the equator, will be going... It's having to go... Yeah, because that's the thing, right? It's not just the thing, you're saying, oh, well, surely the plane has to tack into the wind because the Earth rotates so much quicker when you get closer to the equator. Surely we should have Coriolis.
You're going 500 miles an hour, Hobbit. You're going 500 miles in a pressurized tube.
Yeah, north or south.
When you get off that, then why? You're in a pressurized tube that's been pressurized at the atmospheric level that you were originally at. Why is it then when you get off a plane you don't suddenly get all dizzy?
Well, because they say relative to the ground, you're going...
Oh God, don't do relativity. That's banned. Yeah. Banning relativity. Don't do that.
Well, what I was going to say about this was, like, so say you work 12-hour shifts in a coal mine, and then you went to do 12-hour shifts in a coal mine on the equator. I think you'd probably notice the difference. Whereas most of the time when you're going to the equator, you're going on holiday, aren't you? So you're in a different frame of mind anyway, aren't you?
Oh, maybe
No,
that's.
we're just putting that down to it's a fucking what is it, the pareidolia. You just wanna
No,
you
it's
just wanna imagine it's different, right? We're
no,
just
no.
optical
Get
illusion.
with the times, Fraser. Don't you know? We now call it a Fata Morgana.
Yeah.
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 It's. I want to know. Ignoring like airplane travel, why don't we have Coriolis storms or Coriolis winds? Because surely, like the speed of the wind from rotation of the Earth at the poles will be zero, and the speed at the equator for the wind, especially as you get further up, well, at the surface of the equator, the Earth is turning at 1,000 and come on, I had the number there in nautical miles, 900 nautical miles, which is 1,000 and what? 1,035.7 miles an hour. So that's a wind speed difference of 1,000 miles an hour. Well, when we get speeds of over 100 miles an hour, that's hurricane wind force. So why? It should be like even.
Why aren't we being blasted with hurricanes all the time, basically?
I mean, surely
why are we not Jupiter right now? What they say Jupiter is a giant fucking hurricane, right? You know.
Well, why is there not, like, say, for example, just like the bands of wind between, say, France, Spain, and England, like drastic?
Yeah.
So I'd have to divide this into. So I'm trying to think like chunks of land, which would be a 10% increase, like 10% closer to the equator. I'd say Spain, Morocco would be 20%, but Spain, France, and the Great Britain, that's 10%. So if, say, I'm not looking at the map, I'm just trying to imagine here. Let's say Great Britain is like 30 notches from the pole. So that would mean at the top at Scotland, it'd be going at, say, 300 miles an hour, and in Cornwall, it should be going at 400 miles an hour. So yeah, at the top of France, it should be 400, and the bottom of France, 500 miles an hour. And then Spain, 500 to 600, and Morocco, 600 to 800, and then Western Sahara is going from 800 to 1,000 miles an hour. So why don't we have the bands of wind going from one to the other? I mean, that to me makes no sense whatsoever. We should have constant hurricanes. I really would like to know why we don't have constant hurricanes then.
Maybe science have already explained why the Earth doesn't have constant hurricanes. Why?
Oh, well,
Because,
I mean, they say it's inertia and stuff like that, but I'm thinking to myself, well, when we're dealing with, I mean, this came up recently when I was looking at a video on water cooling, like, there's bands of separation, and that's why you don't want laminar flow in a water cooling thing. You want turbulent flow, because you want all of the water to move.
What is it? Immersion tanks. Immersion tanks. They you actually have bands of heat in those.
Yeah, unless you had a turbulent flow system to make to make the water more consistent temperature. So yeah, on the water cooling, you don't want laminar flow. That's really bad because that means you'd have a hot layer near the transfer plate on the water block, and then the rest of the water is not transferring the heat because it's doing laminar flow. So there's very little interaction between the hot bands and the cold bands. You want a turbulent flow there, and so I'm thinking to myself, I mean, clearly the atmosphere doesn't always have laminar flow of atmosphere because occasionally we do get storms. But why is there not?
But we never get storms, though, do we?
Well, we occasionally get.
Well, not on the degree that the Yanks get it, or the monsoon season in India.
But those storms they say are caused by weather effects. They're not caused by Coriolis winds. So why don't we get? You know what? I'm gonna type into the search engine right now. Why don't we get Coriolis storms frequently? Frequently, I think.
Well, I've got a fucking thing from this Quora thing, like.
Quora.
Yeah, like some big brain nibbers chimed in on Ricky. His name's Ricky Dawson.
Hello,
Ricky
my name
Dawson.
is Ricky Dawson.
That sounds like a real scientist. That does.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the question was, why isn't there
Ricky Dawson.
Why isn't there a constant wind in one direction as the Earth rotates around the sun? He replies, because the
Copyright
rotation is
infringement.
extremely slow.
No, it's not. It's 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
In what definition of the word slow includes 1,000 miles
Yes,
an hour?
that's
The ionosphere is a barrier, lads.
Yeah.
Is the ionosphere calling Fata Morganas?
Right, okay, so here, I don't think you got the question right. Okay, so because the rotation is extremely slow, for God's sake, it rotates only once per 24 hours. But he's not saying that. He's saying why is the wind in constant direction?
Yeah,
as
but
the
once
Earth
per
rotates
24
around the
hours
sun?
is really slow.
Yeah, even
Could you imagine
1,000 miles
rotating
an
a
hour,
tennis
right?
ball once every 24 hours? That would be really slow.
Right, yeah. Well, what if you rotated that tennis ball 1,000, miles per
Still
hour?
slow.
On its
Once.
equator.
Still
Yeah.
slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just slow. And the fact, and the other thing as well, like I'm not. Have you ever seen the slow mo guys videos? Because they did a thing of spinning a wet tennis ball.
Okay, here it gets better. Okay, so it's so slow, the rotation, right, that the air mostly just rotates with it due to friction. Going back to the hour hand example, if you put something on the hand and have it fall off when the hand turns out the way, now how slippery do you think it would have to be? Now, what about something that rotates half as fast? I don't get that.
Very slippy.
Of course, because of the... Oh, here we go. Of course, because of the size of the Earth, the actual surface linear velocity is quite fast. But that's irrelevant because space doesn't resist the atmosphere in any way.
Well, I would say it bloody well is relevant because yeah, it's going 1,000 miles an hour around the
Just
equator.
contradicting himself. He's like, well, actually, yeah, we are spinning fast, but we're not rotating fast.
But
Yeah,
not that
but
fast.
no, but yeah, but no, but.
Yeah, but no.
It's what I mean. Like, people just don't. They're either so fucking like enamored with science and the just listen and believe shit,
Well,
right?
Frasier, do you
They
think
don't
it's
question
because
any of it, and then they just contradict themselves. They don't even know their own model. Like, if you to ask anyone, who believes the Earth is a ball spinning through space, just simple stuff like this, they don't know. It's like that guy the other night. He was like, "Well, okay, what's the curvature of the Earth equation?" And he was like, "I don't know. I just believe the scientists." Like, for fuck's sake. Then what's the point in having this discussion?
I think a lot of
You
people
want
have.
to poo-poo shit that you don't understand.
I think a lot of people have complacency. Well, the thing is, funny enough,
Yeah.
he agreed to my point where I was saying,
Yeah.
well, look, there's certain things, views that you can have where if you were to start expound them in public, you would you'd lose social status. He said, oh, it's worse than that. You could lose your job. And I said, what, like Dr. Andrew Wakefield? And he says, yes, he's the one that said the MMR jab is dangerous and lost his job. And I said, yeah, so him and I both agreed then that there are certain things which you say which are controversial. If you say them, you will lose social status, and worse than that, you can face legal repercussions based on a certain subject matter, or you can lose your job. You can be disbarred from practicing medicine. And likewise, in the case of this, I said, well, it's just the same sort of thing. I'm willing to discuss it because I don't mind losing social status. Because I'm just, some random twat on the internet.
Well, yeah, okay. The main cope of why we don't have the 1,000. Okay, here's someone else has pointed out that the rotation of the Earth allegedly rotates at 1,040 miles per hour
At the equator.
The wind is not affected because the atmosphere rotates with the Earth. But then, if you look at experiments like the Sanyak experiment, that's not true.
Well, it's an example.
It's all true until it isn't.
Yeah. And then obviously Einstein comes along and says, well, it's all relative now, guys.
Have you ever used a blender?
We're in the position we're in right now.
Have either of you guys ever used a blender before? And you know at the centre of the blender where you got your blades, it's spinning really quickly. And at the side of the blender, things are going really slowly.
Yeah.
Well, like, if you're blending, say, I don't know, let's go with, you've got some strawberries and you're blending them in water. Well, what happens? Does it all just go at the same speed, or just like the stuff in the middle go faster? I'm sorry, this is a rhetorical question. The stuff in the middle goes faster and it's turbulent, and you see eventually everything gets mixed together, because the more liquid something is in the blender, the more apparent this this event is. Well, I would say the atmosphere is pretty liquid because, I mean, it's a gas, and as we know about fluids, like gases are more flowy than liquids, aren't they?
The molecules are still. Are they still so kind of attached in some way, aren't they, with the gas? Like they're getting further apart, but.
Well, the molecules just freely flow around. Try saying that after a few. Whereas a liquid, will take the vessel and be poured down by gravity, unless it's a superfluid like honey, which somehow manages to get over the lip, or if it's liquid helium, that does the same thing as well, apparently. But here's the thing, right? So I got the Met Office here, and this doesn't really explain it, but what I think for our audience's sake and our own, I will read it out. So the Coriolis effect. Description of the Coriolis effect affects weather of the UK. The Earth's rotation means we experience an apparent force known as the Coriolis force. This deflects the direction of the wind to the right in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemispheres. That's why wind flow around low and high pressure systems circulates in opposing directions in each hemisphere. I didn't know about this. And also I seem to remember we get cyclones and anticyclones, and I think it's the anticyclones which give us high pressure and clear skies. The Coriolis effect was described by 19th century French physicist and mathematician Gustave Gaspard de Coriolis in 1835. He formulated theories of fluid dynamics through studying water wheels, and realised the same theories could be applied to the motion of fluids on the surface of the Earth. One of the most common examples of Coriolis effect in action is seen through the deflection of winds on Earth. Another example of Coriolis effect can be demonstrated by looking at a typical playground roundabout. If you are standing in the centre of the spinning roundabout, spinning anti-clockwise, and attempt to throw a ball, it will appear to curve to the right, when in fact it is travelling in a straight line to anyone who is not on the roundabout. Is it? I haven't been on the roundabout in 8. So let's say I throw a ball. Oh yeah, right. It appears to go to the right because conservation of momentum. This is similar to what happens in the northern hemispheres of Earth, where winds are deflected to the right. This deflection is a major factor in explaining why winds blow anti-clockwise around low pressure and clockwise around high pressure in northern hemispheres, and vice versa in southern hemispheres. Oh, okay, right. Yeah, sorry, I retract my previous statement. Cyclones and anticyclones are based on rising high pressure or falling low pressure. Without the Coriolis effect, air would simply flow directly from areas of high pressure to areas of low pressure. The Coriolis effect influences global wind patterns and gives the UK its prevailing southwesterlies. Here, winds blowing from subtropical highs towards the low pressure in the north get deflected to the right. So, I mean, I would go so far as to say, well, the reason we get southwesterlies is because of the effect of the Gulf Stream. I mean, that's pushing hot, humid air towards us. But how do we explain in the flat Earth model why rising high pressure makes the air go around one way and falling low pressure makes the air go around the other way?
Path of the sun.
The path of the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So why would it be different in the southern hemisphere? Because
pushing it one way, you know. Because we're talking about Coriolis.
Well, if you think about it, if you're on the top, like you're standing on the top and the Earth's spinning around one way, whereas if you're on the bottom, you're upside down, so the Earth appears to be spinning the other.
Alphabet Cat's raised an interesting point. Is this to do with the way water goes down a plug hole different ways according to which hemisphere you're in?
No, that has been proven false. You can do it because by the dish, the bowl.
Oh,
you can create the Coriolis effect. It doesn't matter. It's not.
Because I remember that Simpsons episode where they're in Australia and the US Embassy toilets have jets to make the water go round the right way.
No, you can create it by the shape of the bowl. Like if direction of the bowl the water hits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, you wouldn't get Coriolis effect in a flat Earth because it's stationary, so it's not spinning around.
Right.
Well, it could still be spinning.
The air is.
It could still be spinning.
The air is moving. That's what the Sagnac experiment proved. The air is moving.
Oh
The
yeah,
Earth
so
isn't moving; it's the air. The air.
so
that's
the air moves and the Gulf
Yeah.
Stream moves,
Mhm.
and there's other streams of it in the thing as well.
There's
Because
even underwater streams, aren't there? 'Cause
well,
that's-
Yeah.
they have these old nautical maps showing like predominant winds and currents in the sea, so you could like plot your path where I think you sail west going south or north. So like if you go sort of like south of Spain towards the Canary Islands and then head towards Brazil and the Gulf of Mexico, and then on the way back you sail using the Gulf Stream as well as other winds. I am not a sailor, so I don't know much about. I just know the Gulf Stream's a major one, and I assume the Gulf Stream is why we have southwesterlies, not due to a Coriolis effect. Ah. Does Japan get prevailing southwesterly wind? Let's find out. Because if the Coriolis explains why, and there's no Gulf Stream affecting Japan, does Japan get prevailing southwesterly wind like the UK does? Let's see if I get any answers to this. The best UK windsurfing spots, great. Westerlies. Oh, so there's a map of westerlies. I click on the map of westerlies and then I get pictures of naval warfare. Why? Westerlies or anti-trades, prevailing winds from the west towards the east in middle latitudes. So I'm looking at the map. No, the wind. Blue is westerlies, yellow is trade winds, northeasterly, and brown is trade winds in the southern hemisphere. So yeah, right. The trade winds go. I was right, from the Canary Islands, and then you sail towards the Gulf of Mexico, and then when you go north, like sort of from Georgia to the Bay of Biscay, you've got westerly winds. So Japan doesn't have westerly winds. It just has the trade winds. But Japan, according to this map, is quite far south. It's on par with Spain and France. Okay.
Unless
Because
it's
I thought
not on the well, again, where are you plotting it on the Mercator map? Or are you plotting it on the?
I'm looking at this Wikipedia map of the thing.
So it's a Mercator map.
Dom thinks I use Pornhub as my major search engine. I use Brave Search. Oh, this is not actually the map I'm looking at. This preview is a different map. So, anyway, in summary, no curvature of the Earth has ever been made because it just hasn't. So all this interesting stuff about Coriolis effects, reflectors on the moon, which are totally there, trust us guys. No, you can't shine lasers at the moon, it's illegal. And Coriolis storms and winds and stuff like that. They're interesting, but I'll go to the simple bit, which I know is boring people, but I think to myself, well, it's the foundation. I'm saying until curvature can be measured, we have to assume that the rest of the stuff is wrong. And also, I don't
based upon
think
the foundation of the it is a set parameter. The Earth is a set amount.
Ian says check out the glass top coffee table on Pornhub. I could suggest you could go there right now, but I suggest you don't.
Yeah. I think that's the monkeypox table now. The other thing is as well, like for example, I'm even willing to entertain the notion that there are these, half-meter retroreflector objects on the moon, which you can shine collimated beams of laser light at, and you might get a few photons come back if you're lucky. But like, even if that were true, how does that go to explain what is or is not happening on the surface of our planet, and what the shape and size of our planet is? Because I don't know. All I know is when they tried to observe the curvature of the Earth,
Well, it's
they
kind of,
can't.
they've built up the mythos. Well, we landed on the moon, and the moon sent back pictures of the Earth being a ball. Therefore, if we can send lasers to the moon and reflect some light off them and get like 1 proton back every 3 minutes,
Proton.
whatever. Yeah, fucking
You get protons. What are they?
protons. I don't know.
Protons
Your
when you go
proton-
around an atom, innit?
You don't get your proton packs caught in the stream.
Protons. Yeah.
Don't cross the
Yeah.
streams, Fraser.
I know.
Yeah, don't cross your proton packs because
It might as well be because they're all fucking just bullshit anyway. But anyway, that's for a different day.
Yeah. Can we
yeah.
do a show talking about Ghostbusters and movies? Because I watched a movie the other day called Top Gunner Danger Zone, and I was a bit because I knew there was a new
Was
Top
there an
Gun
extremely
movie.
homoerotic volleyball scene in it?
No, but I was watching The Kingsman, and there was this bit with gay Rasputin, and I just thought, was that really necessary to tell the story?
Well,
But no, the other day I was watching this film called Top Gunner Danger Zone, and it's got like some stock footage of fighter pilots, and then the rest of the film's nothing about fighter pilots. It's about like a bomb threat on a plane, and a US Air Marshal's got to figure out where the bomb is. And I was like, what's this got to do with Top Gun or like flight school? So I typed in Top Gunner Danger Zone into it, and the top review was, if you believe this parody film was the new Top Gun one, then maybe you're stupid enough to believe the recruitment propaganda of the new Top Gun Maverick film. It's like, oh, thank you. So the new Top Gun film is called Top Gun Maverick. And then I downloaded what I thought was a high quality version of it. Turns out, no, it's a 3 gigabyte cam rip.
No, it's still on. It's still on the cinemas, isn't it? I don't think they're ready to let that one go yet. It hasn't done as well as Multiverse of Madness, which didn't it spend like 45 whole days in the cinema before they stuck it on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, but isn't there this thing with new films now where they just immediately put them on the streaming service?
No,
so...
I think it depends how well they do on the box office.
Yeah.
Like the turds that flush straight away, like the Disney films, they'll bang those on Disney Plus pretty quick.
Oh, the straight, what used to be called straight to VHS back in the day,
Yeah.
or straight to tape,
Straight to video,
straight to DVD.
direct
I
to
think
video. I think it was direct to video. Wasn't it?
Oh, direct to video. That's the term for this is a rubbish film.
Yeah.
No, actually, have you ever seen a direct to video movie where you thought, oh, that was all right?
I don't know, because some of them are high concept, aren't they? But they
Oh,
obviously fail in the execution.
I would say Toxic Avenger and the other Troma films, they're direct to video, but I quite like them. Romeo and Juliet was a good one. That was a retelling of Romeo and Juliet, but if it happened in Tromaville.
Nice.
It has a twist at the end.
Does it?
And also, I think Lloyd Kaufman does make a cameo, but Lloyd Kaufman doesn't direct. Let me find out. So I'm bored. Oh, I'm bored with Flat Earth now. So Tromeo.
Unexplained histories, or did you have?
Oh yeah.
Did you want to round off, Fraser? Any final thoughts?
Dom.
Well, I mean, again, I guess we're not going to convince anyone who's already not willing to.
Well, you're an
look
idiot
past
if you believe in Flat Earth, obviously,
Well, yeah,
because
yeah,
Professor
truly
Brian Cox
retard.
has.
Yeah.
Well, Professor Brian Cox has never said the Earth is flat, therefore it's not.
Yeah. I guess that's the case. Right?
Oh,
yeah,
I do
so-
apologise to the audience. Romeo and Juliet was directed by Lloyd Kaufman.
Oh, are we ready? This one's going to be a good one. New evidence suggests that even spiders have dreams. What do we think? Do we think they're going to prove that spiders dream?
Hey, is this from the professor that did the shark studies? And please give me another £5 million.
It could well be. When Daniela Grobler, I don't know, whatever her name is, conducted
Danielle
an experiment.
Robert, that's a fucking made up name, isn't it?
She conducted an experiment in her home which involved keeping and observing jumping spiders in clear plastic boxes on a windowsill. She couldn't have imagined what she'd find. She couldn't have imagined it.
Oh.
She had
Wow.
become suspicious that something interesting was going on when she went to check on them one evening, only to find the spiders suspended motionless beneath the lids of their boxes. I had no idea what happened, she said. I thought they were dead. It soon became apparent, however, that the arachnids were simply sleeping. So she set up a camera to watch them all night long. That's when the magic happened. And it soon became apparent, however, the arachnids were simply sleeping. In the recordings, the spiders could be seen twitching during brief periods of time. They were just... what are they doing? Chasing flies? You know the old dog about dogs chasing rabbits. They were just uncontrollably twitching in a way that looked like when dogs or cats dream and have their little REM phrases, says Robler. What she discovered that spiders too seem to experience periods of REM sleep and could in fact be capable of experiencing dreams in much the same way as other animals do. It wouldn't surprise me at all if jumping spiders have dreams, said behavioural ecologist Lisa Taylor. They live in such a rich sensory world, and we know they have amazing cognitive capabilities and memory.
Do we? How do we know
that? Because this bird said she believes it.
How do we test for that?
So a behavioural ecologist says it wouldn't surprise me at all if they do have dreams. That's.
Are they saying they put spiders in a maze and like made them run the gauntlet to like the fly?
No, they just left them upside down kipping. I'm putting the video up now on stream. Oh look, he's having a little twitch. Oh.
That's nice.
Oh, he's twitching a bit. Look, he's chasing flies.
Yeah. Wow. We after what?
Oh, look, you see his little eyes moving as well.
And no one's thought to do this before. This is something we're doing now, right? Is that?
So
in all the hundreds of years of science, no one's noticed that spiders might sleep or dream, right? Well, they notice they sleep. I'm sure they notice they sleep, right? But now we care if they dream. So, okay, what does that mean? How does that advance human?
Well, just some bird found it on a windowsill. I don't know. Oh God, that looks grim.
Oh, lovely. That's like fucking face hugger, isn't it? Like.
Yeah. Oh, giant isopod. It's a relative of the common woodlouse. So like giant pink woodlouse. Grim.
Oh man.
Where's Hobbit gone?
He's fucked off. Doesn't even want to look at the fucking giant lice.
He's gone. Doesn't want to look at the giant woodlouse. Doesn't want to talk about spiders having a kip.
Yeah. No. What else is there? Gotta be more.
Shaun the sheep will fly around the moon on Artemis 1.
Okay.
The Russians have got a freaking space laser now. Russian space laser could blind spy satellites. Russia is reportedly working on a ground-based laser weapon capable of interfering with satellites in space.
Okay.
Narrow beam of directed energy. Laser is a device for creating narrow beam of directed energy. First laser was developed in 1960. Since that time, there have been several types created that use physical mechanisms to generate photons or particles of light. Gas lasers pump large amounts of energy into specific molecules such as carbon dioxide. What are you going to say, Fraser?
I just read Alphabet Cat's comment. I bet they don't use it on them.
Chemical lasers are powered by specific chemical reactions that release energy. Solid-state lasers use customized crystalline materials to convert electrical energy into photons. In all lasers, photons are subsequently amplified by passing them through a special type of material called the gain medium and then focused into a coherent beam by a beam director. Why haven't they made pew-pew lasers yet? That's what we need to know.
I'll get some lemons, yeah.
Yeah, why are we not got a ray gun yet? Like,
yeah, why haven't we got pew-pew lasers, Hobbit? Oh, no, he's talking about lemons.
Yeah, he's fucking lemoned out. Right, next.
Yeah, that's... So anyway, Russians are pew-pew lasers.
Yeah. Okay.
Mysterious Palmyra, Lord of the Universe, deity identified.
Okay.
So that's in Syria. So, oh yeah, we do need to do about giants at some stage, don't we? Because there's the
Oh,
Afghan
the giant
video,
of
isn't there?
Kandahar.
Yeah.
Do you know, I was one of my co-drivers was in the Paras, and I ever asked him about stuff like the giants of Kandahar. And he says a lot of the areas of Afghanistan were off limits, and I said, "Is that because of Bakabazi and the opium trades?" And he sort of went quiet, and afterwards said, "Yeah."
So, mystery of an unknown god referenced in inscriptions from the ancient city of Palmyra has finally been solved. Situated in modern-day Syria, the ancient city, which served as a centre for trade and flourished during the time of the Roman Empire around 2,000 years ago. Citation needed, is that phrase?
Oh, well, the stuff I've seen in the last few days, I'm not even sure fucking Greece and Egypt existed. I wonder if this was constructed as well, like...
We was Arabs, yo.
Yeah, man, I wonder if we were, if this was a build, construction like the fucking Stonehenge. And, is it Pios or somewhere as well? Yeah. That's another episode for another day, though. The ancient Greece wasn't real and shit.
So one of its most enduring mysteries has been the identity of an unknown deity referenced in various inscriptions and referred to he whose name is blessed forever or Lord of the universe. Well, obviously
Lords of the universe, Lords of the universe. I'm sure
What's
that's a
that,
song.
Hobbit? Are you sure?
I just saw there was a song. Was it Masters of the Universe, Lords
I
of the
have
Universe?
the power.
Oh,
Wait,
sorry. No, I'm
Someone's
thinking of
asked if I should do a stream on... What, you mean on the ancient Greece wasn't real? You want me to do, what, a solo stream, or you want me to do a...
Yeah, we'll
14?
definitely do that.
Yeah.
You know, having a look at ancient Latin and how similar it looks to ancient written Greek, I'm just thinking to myself, like, in thousands of years when we're...
This is the video I asked you to watch, Hobbit, the other day. Like, I bet you haven't watched it yet, have you?
No, I haven't, because I've actually genuinely been busy. I'm sorry.
Now though the mystery might have finally been solved thanks to the work of Alexandra Kubiak Schneider, a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Wrocław in... How do you pronounce Wrocław in Poland?
Oh, it's pronounced Femboy Hooters in Polish.
By comparing the inscriptions with those found in ancient Mesopotamia, she was unable to determine that the deity being referenced was most likely not a single god but several. Oh, the old several fucking deities business. Okay then. These multiple deities, which include Bel Marduk and Baal Shamin. Isn't Baal Shamin one of Alexandra Kubiak Schneider's gods, I should imagine? Were referenced collectively but not directly as a sign of respect by the people at the time. According to Kubiak Schneider, those who wrote the inscriptions may have been reaching out not to a specific god but to anyone who would listen to their prayers. There was no one anonymous god. Every god who listened and showed favour to requests deserved an eternal praise, she told Live Science. So nothing to see here, kids. No new gods have been found.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Or Belshazzar. Belshazzar.
Start to,
Dude in the Belshazzar.
Man rents huge billboard to trade one cheese string. Do you want one?
I'm going to see if there's anything on X, or if it's still just like, how do I summon a succubus girlfriend because I'm lonely?
Easy.
What's this?
Semen retention is useless if you're not a weak-willed individual. There we go. Stay the same, X. Never change. The paranormal influence of drugs and alcohol. Ooh. The Kybalion. What are your thoughts on Hermetic philosophy? Oh, welcome to Divination General, so tarot cards, but by post.
Ian said spiders dream they were going to spider school naked.
I used to have lots of dreams about my teeth falling out, but it doesn't happen anymore.
That's quite specific. That's quite that means something, that does, Hobbit.
Yeah, that's Freudian right there.
Means you're a fucking nutter.
The teeth falling out.
Yeah.
Apparently,
the suck men's dicks.
Yeah.
I thought it meant I wanted to shag Sigmund Freud's mum. I mean, that's what it all boiled.
You were going to do his mum.
It's psychologically, you're preparing yourself for a prison life. when they
I
find
was
you.
told that teeth falling out is a sign of you're worried about your mortality and aging.
I
Yeah.
found this one at the bottom.
Tossing
The
them in
peculiar
prison.
history of cheese and witchcraft.
Oh, is it where like a witch's hex cursed my cow and now its milk is curdled, and so I want that
And
neighbour
thus
with a.
reinvented cheese strings. Is that what it's trying to say?
Throughout the ages, cheese has been perceived to possess all manner of strange and magical properties. Tabitha
Jeez.
Stanmore, oh, of course your name's honorary research fellow in early modern studies at the University of Bristol, explores what has made cheese such a powerful substance for those
Everyone
who believed
knows
in
the
it.
moon's made of cheese. Oh, witches have cursed elephants to be eternally afraid of cheese. Yeah, that's a weird thing, isn't it?
It's not entirely clear why cheese is seen to have magical properties. Wow, thanks for that, love. Wow. Just fucking wow. Just fucking mind blown.
What magical properties? Like,
I love it. I love it. It's just like the way you get past the first thing and they're like, yeah, we made it up.
Shall I get a seance ready with my fucking Cathedral City out? Like,
We made it up. It's not real.
Are
It
you
might be
saying I could make a tree of life like in that Kabbalah thing, but instead of using tarot cards, I get like Dairy Lee triangles and baby bells.
cheese strings.
Cheese strings to connect the baby bells and the Dairy Lee triangles together. A tetragrammaton of the vache qui rit. No, sorry, Dairy Lee is the laughing cow.
Yeah.
Which tastes better than Dairy Lee,
Don't you
by
dare
the
say
way.
anything wrong about Laughing Cow.
No, I'm not going to. I really like the laughing cow. I think it's
Yeah,
good cheese.
Fucking Dairy Lee, like it's.
Have
more
you ever
than
had
Laughing Cow.
the laughing cow when it's in cubes and not triangles? I think it tastes
Yes.
better in
Oh.
cubes.
Why, when you just eat it, on its own?
Of
Nothing else?
course. I mean, what
Of
you
course,
need
yes.
to eat with is just like it's a cube of cheese. It's brilliant. And of course, they got variety packs like they do
You
with
don't get them anymore, though, do you? Really? I haven't seen.
I
them in ages
blame
anyway.
Brexit,
Yeah.
and I also blame the French.
Yeah.
Let's actually talk about some stuff after she's. So cheese
Hemi?
magic stretches back long what?
We just talked about
Yeah.
cheese.
Cheese
We were
magic.
talking. Yeah, we
Laughing
were
Cow,
talking.
cheese
You were
magic.
Well, I've
saying
got some
cheese
actual
stretches.
content.
What are you saying? You're going to have stretchy mozzarella cheese strings, and that's how far back it stretches in history.
Yeah.
Just so the
You can't
audience
beat
knows.
double Gloucester, best cheese.
I do like mozzarella.
All right, Wallace. Fucking calm down.
Double Gloucester, not fucking Wensleydale. Wensleydale's the shittest cheese there ever.
Is Wensleydale the really salty one that's white and crumbly and it's not
Yeah,
very
and
nice?
you can't fucking grill it or do anything fucking useful with it.
I'd rather have Stilton.
No. Have you never melted double Gloucester? Double Gloucester goes really, really nice and gooey and translucent. It's really nice.
Well, next time I make a Welsh rabbit, I'll put some double Gloucester in it.
Yeah, double Gloucester melts really, really well, really nicely.
I wonder what cheese the Welsh recommend for Welsh rabbit.
Welsh one. Welsh
Yeah.
cheese.
Well, so just Welsh cheddar then.
Is there any? Do they do like a Welsh? Oh, brie with brie and bacon. Brie bacon and mushroom baguette is top.
I do like brie. I tell you one thing. You know, camembert is quite similar to brie, except it's really smelly.
Yeah.
My granddad, what he did is he wrapped up some brie in some leaves. Don't ask me what leaves it was. Might as well have been oak leaves, as far as I know. And he left them in his wine cellar for 18 months. And then we're having it for Christmas. And I'm like, is this brie? And he says, no, it's camembert. It's like, yeah, but it doesn't stink. And he says, well, because it's 18 months old, all the bacteria has been eaten by fungus, so you're eating penicillin. So why is it not blue cheese then? It's dusty cheese. It's not blue cheese.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's basically you're eating gone off cheese, but it's gone off so much that the fungus preserves it, and it was really nice.
What Ogle Shield extra mature cheddar we're getting? We're getting some cheese. Roquefort Hobbit. I don't think I've ever had that.
Roquefort. It's
Yeah.
Stilton, but it's French.
Oh, is it French Stilton?
There's also another blue cheese called Oxford Blue. That's quite good. If you're a fan of blue cheese,
Disavow
that
blue
is.
cheese. Disavow blue cheese.
What, have you got an allergy to penicillin, or are you weak?
No, I'm weak.
Weak.
Man.
Okay,
Yeah,
you're
it's
weak. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
No,
not over keen on Stilton. You can over Stilton, can't you?
If you eat too much blue cheese, you will hallucinate and have vivid dreams.
I do like a bit of Red Leicester now and again.
Oof. Yeah.
Oh, Yarg is a good one. Yarg is actually similar to the one my granddad made. You get cheese and then you wrap it in nettles and then you leave it to mature for a while.
Oh.
Yep, they use stinging nettles to wrap the cheese around it.
What Dutch cheeses would you have then, Hobbit?
I quite like Maasdam, and Old Gouda is actually quite nice. If you want an example of
Gouda, that's that really like sticky one, isn't it?
Stinky
if you want
one.
an
That's the stinky one.
yeah,
That's a sticky one.
no, you're thinking of Limburger. Gouda is actually quite sweet and nutty. If you want an the problem is
I don't like the nutty taste.
Dutch
Leerdammer, I think is what I like.
The Dutch and Belgian cheese we get over here is really young and immature. If you go to like Belgium or the Dutch lands themselves, well, you can get something called Old Bruges, and that's a type of it's Bruges actually. It's really nice. It does taste sweet, but at the same time it's sharp. But it's not crumbly like cheddar. It's still got that. I don't want to say waxiness, but it's got more elasticity than a cheddar does. Cheddar's not an elastic
dipped in your latest hostage's victim's face is pretty good.
Oh, Dom, that's just sadistic.
What's the best Belgian cheese, Hobbit? Oh, can you imagine that getting covered in melted cheese?
It's probably one made by a Trappist monastery. She may make cheese. I'm not sure if West Letteren do, but they do make the world's best beer, and I have drunk it, and it's very nice. Imagine Chimay.
Is there like a kind of commercially available Belgian cheese that's any good then, Hobbit?
Yeah, Chimay.
What, and you'd find that in a supermarket, would you?
You probably find that in Waitrose, because they do Trappist ales there, so yeah.
Yeah.
Thing is, their cheese doesn't travel as far as their beers do.
So we're all
anyway,
Trappist
that's 9 o'clock. No,
Yeah.
not all beers made by there, but there are Trappist monks, and they make beer, and that's how they keep their monasteries going. It's 9 o'clock, guys. I want to go.
Yeah, same here. Night all. Stay spooky.
Bye.
Night, guys. See you next time.
We off the air.